In the headlines, Southern Katsina comes under persistent bandits attacks as insecurity escalates. Soldiers neutralize terrorists harvesting farmers' produce in Zamfara. Labour Party presidential candidate promises to fix Nigeria from existential challenge. And on the foreign scene, the African Court on Human and People's Rights begins 67th Ordinary Session in Tanzania. Hello and welcome to Trust News Update. I'm Dashan Husseina Usman. And we begin with security, where insecurity situation is escalating by the day, especially in communities of Southern Katsina, otherwise known as Funtua Zone. Funtua Zone, with 11 local government areas, is gradually coming under persistent attacks by bandits, killings, kidnappings, rustling of animals, and destruction of properties. Abdullahi Yamadi went to some communities in Funtua and Faskari local governments where some residents say one can hardly find a community not affected by the attacks. His report.
To Meirua town in Faskari local government is Dikke village in Funtua local government, a farming community suffering from incessant bandits attacks. There are 23 people, including women and children from Dikke village, currently in captivity, while 2 escaped recently. Among them is this young lady who gave birth to a baby girl at the terrorist den.
I was in labor for over a week at the terrorist den. Looking at my condition, they thought I was dying and decided to take me to a nearby village and left me there. And a day after, I put to bed. The villagers supported me back to my ancestral home.
Our camera captures an intense negotiation between a father of one of the abducted children and the terrorists in Dikke village.
Wa alaikum assalam. Barka Modibo. Yawa. Ka yi haƙuri abin da ke faruwa, kana ji na ba? Ka san mun yi magana da kai sai an ba da wannan naira miliyan 1.200, wannan 200 tabalan ita ce har yanzu bai kawo ba. Nake so ya kawo sai a hada aje a kai muku. To ko haƙuri za ka yi mu gani daga nan zuwa gobe. To ka san abin da za mu yi a nan karkarar taku akwai wanda muka sani wanda za mu iya kawo mashi, idan muka kawo mashi, kana ji na? In na faɗa ma shi kila ka san shi. Ciroma. To in ba Ciroman?
Another case is that of entire family of one Samaila Dikke, who were thrown into confusion as the whereabouts of the leader of the household is not known for the past 28 days. Samaila set out on Monday morning with a sum of 1.3 million naira ransom to secure the release of his brother after negotiating with the terrorists, but could not return after 28 days.
There is no need asking whether we are worried or not. In fact, the trauma is too much for us. You know, it wasn't long enough when he paid ransom to secure the release of his 2 children, and now his brother. In fact, the most worrisome situation is that we don't know whether he is dead or alive. We're afraid they must have killed him after collecting the ransom. We don't have anything in this house because from food to other basic necessities, we have finished everything. We're appealing for government's intervention to end these criminalities dwarfing our socio-economic well-being.
Residents are calling on governments and other security operatives to unravel the perpetrators of the heinous killings and destructions to face the wrath of the law. Abdullahi Ismail, Trust Television News, Katsina.
Troops of the Nigerian military attached to Operation Haderin Daji have neutralized some terrorists at Yet Tashad village in Maru local government area of Zamfara state while trying to harvest farmers' produce. The military personnel also killed a bandit kingpin, Bada, who was reported to have attacked the village market and killed some farmers before he started harvesting their produce. The Director, Defense Media Operations, Major General Musa Madami, who said this in a statement issued Monday morning, explained that the troops recovered one motorcycle, some weapons and other valuables from the adversaries. The Madami said the troops have been charged to maintain the same tempo in denying enemies of the country the liberty to bring the nation down, calling on residents to avail troops with credible and timely information on criminal activities. The senior military officer also disclosed that the troops responded to bandits' attack on Gamraki village, Kwatar Kwashi district of Bungudu local government area of the state, where they engaged the terrorists who had kidnapped 2 locals. In crime, operatives of the Ondo State Police Command have arrested a 54-year-old father for allegedly setting ablaze his 5 stepchildren. The suspect, identified as Joseph Ojo, allegedly committed the crime over the weekend at his residence in Fagun Crescent axis of Ondo Town, headquarters of Ondo West Local Council. It was gathered that the man committed the crime on the ground that his wife, who is the mother of the children, offended him. According to sources, the man allegedly poured petrol into the room of the children while they were fast asleep and set the kids on fire. One of the children died as a result of the fire, while the other 4 were rushed to the Federal Medical Center, Owo, where they are currently receiving treatment. Meanwhile, the mother of the children escaped from the fire with minor injuries with her 18-month-old twins, who are the man's biological children. When contacted, the state's police public relations officer, Funmi Odunlami, confirmed that the suspect had been apprehended for a case of arson and murder. The PPRO said the investigation would be carried out before charging the suspect to court. National Drug Law Enforcement Agency in Katsina State has intercepted 24 kilograms of cannabis sativa and thousands tablets of Exxon 5 in the state. 65-year-old Haruna Abubakar, who is a blind person returning from Lagos heading to Maradi in Niger Republic, is the owner of the consignment. He was arrested in Malumfashi local government area. Abdullahi Amadi has more.
The blind suspected drugs dealer Haruna Abubakar, who worked as beggar in Lagos, is allegedly a habitual drugs dealer who has been making a brisk business from drugs trafficking. The suspect confessed to have committed the offense, saying he was lured into the business by his son, who asked him to purchase the drugs for him from Lagos. Parading the suspect before newsmen in Katsina, the NDLEA commander Muhammad Ibrahim warns commercial drivers to be wary of goods they convey for passengers.
And the officers decided to prove further to check the clothing, and this is what they found inside: 46 blocks of compressed cannabis, weighing over 24 kg, and Exxon weighing about 411 grams. And it's interesting to know that the man is blind and he's taking his consignments to Niger. He said he started it the last year when he bought it, and the profit margin that he made was so much. So he decided to go to Lagos again, beg for arms. The money he got, he now decided to buy another set of cannabis, sativa and Exxon to go and sell.
The anti-drugs agency also calls for collaboration between the NDLEA and the public to succeed in the fight against drugs abuse and its trafficking.
So we decided to let the public know so that we should be aware. We should not be caught off our guards. It's not just normal able people that actually deal or traffic in drugs. We see those that are handicapped that actually seek for help. They too found themselves doing this kind of illicit business.
The agency also called on stakeholders to be more proactive and resilient in confronting the menace of drugs. Abdullahi Ismail Amadi, Trust Television News, Katsina.
The death of a popular Jos businessman, Sule Kayedda, and 4 other members of his family have destabilized his relatives. Kayedda, alongside other members, were on their way to Kano State for a medical checkup when they lost their lives in a ghastly motor accident in Isma village of Toro local government area of Bauchi State. 2 others sustained injuries in the accident. Ado Musa completes the report.
Sule Kayarda died in an accident on his way to Kano State when suddenly a trailer collided with their vehicle. A wife, 23 children and many grandchildren survived him. The death of the popular businessman has left his remaining family members and other sympathizers in shock, with some saying the death will linger in their memory for a long time to come. Hanifa Kayarda, who lost both father and mother in the incident, said she was sad by the death but has submitted everything to Allah, hoping to keep the legacy of her parents.
So Alhamdulillah, we are hopeful to all this. We are sad, definitely. We will never get used to this loss. But Alhamdulillah, from the things we are hearing, some of the things they did, we were not even aware. Some people that come here to tell us how they touched their lives, we don't even know them. We're just knowing about them now.
Umar Kayarda is a son to the deceased and also speaks on the death of their father and other members of the family. We are not happy with the sudden death, but Allah knows why He took them away at this moment. We believe that every soul shall taste death. We have lost indeed, but there is nothing we could do. We are happy that He had given us good training and left good legacy. We will continue to pray for him and other members of the family. The death of the 5 members of the family came 5 days after an elder daughter died, leaving the surviving members of the family and sympathizers to grieve. Ado Musa, Trust TV News, Jos.
Now to politics. 4 frontline presidential candidates in the 2023 elections unveiled their plans for the country if elected president. They appeared at a town hall meeting organized by Arise News Channel in Abuja. A former governor of Kano State and presidential candidate of the New Nigerian People's Party, Rabiu Kwankwaso, a former governor of Anambra State and presidential candidate of the Labour Party, Peter Obi, the governor of Delta State and vice presidential candidate of the People's Democratic Party, Ifeanyi Okowa, who stood in for his principal, Atiku Abubakar, and the presidential candidate of the People's Redemption Party, Kola Abiola, participated in the discussion. Kwankwaso admitted that the current manpower of the Nigerian military was grossly inadequate and remained one area he would focus on in addressing the nation's deteriorating insecurity. Obi said his government, among other things, will dialogue with genuine agitators, which included a proscribed indigenous people of Biafra, IPOB, and the Boko Haram sect and other agitating groups in the country in order to engender peace and tame insecurity, while criminal elements among them would be made to face the law. Okowa said 2 of the most important things an Atiku government will do is ensuring state police and devising technology to tackle crimes across the country. While PRP's Kola Abiola said the security situation in the country deteriorated only because the administration of President Muhammadu Buhari underutilized the office of the National Security Advisor, Babagana Monguno. Some stakeholders of the ruling All Progressives Congress have convened a meeting in Abuja to wade into the protracted spat between the majority leader of the House of Representatives, Alhassan Ado Doguwa, and the Kano State APC Deputy Governorship candidate, Murtala Sule Garo. The meeting is convened after another one held by Governor Abdullahi Umar Ganduje in Kano Sunday evening. Doguwa attended a meeting in Kaduna on the invitation of Katsina State Governor Aminu Masari, a former Speaker of the House of Representatives. It could be recalled that Doguwa and Garo have been at loggerheads after an incident at the meeting in Kano over the recent visit by the APC presidential candidate, Senator Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Still in politics, presidential candidate of the Labour Party, Peter Obi, has said money, ethnicity, or religion should not be allowed to influence the outcome of the 2023 elections. Obi said that as a successful businessman who has not stolen public funds, he can fix the country. Peter Obi, who was responding to an inquiry on a Trust TV interactive program 30 Minutes, spoke extensively on how he made his money, his track record as governor, lack of structure to propel his candidature, and what he intends to bring to the table if elected Nigeria's president next year.
When I was declared governor of Anambra State, naturally, I have assets, I have investments in the UK. What I needed to do was to put those assets and investment into a trust. Because the law said to me, you're no longer allowed by law to operate an account. You're no longer allowed to be employed to do any other job, to be employed by another company.
Right.
So all this ceases. But the law didn't say you can't own what you owned before. What it said is that all those things needs to be. So for me, because they were owned, the company I operated was owned 100% by a company in Nigeria, I put all those assets in the UK into what you call a trust. Call it blind, call it open trust, but it was a trust company and say, keep this.
Watch out for the full interview today on Trust TV at 7:30 p.m. You're still watching Trust News Update. Coming up after the break, we take a look at a man who has never used cars. Do stay with us.
That's good. Good to see you.
Welcome back and thanks for staying with us. If you're just joining us, you're watching Trust News Update. Here's a recap of some of our top stories. We told you that southern Katsina comes under persistent bandit attacks as insecurity escalates. You also heard that soldiers neutralize terrorists harvesting farmers' produce in Zamfara. Moving to education, the National Executive Council of the Academic Staff Union of Universities is set to meet in Abuja to decide the next line of action after government decided to pay them only for the work done in October and not full salary as the lecturers expected. The meeting will hold at the union's headquarters at the University of Abuja. Already, some branches across the country have held a congress to decide on the next steps to take. ASU branch at the University of Jos resolved that the lecturers stay at home pending the payment of withheld salaries by government, while the Abubakar Tafawa Balewa University branch resolved that the 2021-2022 academic session be abolished. Meanwhile, a human rights lawyer, Femi Falana, SAN, who is the lead counsel to ASU in the statement on Sunday, explained why the no work, no pay policy could not be applicable to ASU. Falana said the position of the federal government is factually faulty and legally misleading, noting that since the industrial action was called off, the public universities have adjusted their calendars to ensure that the 2021-2022 academic session is not cancelled. Away from that story, in the early days, people have no means of transport. Whenever they had to go somewhere, they walked on foot and used animals to carry their goods. However, the invention of the wheel proved to be the best thing that happened to man as it made transportation easier. In this report, Beatrice Kurutsi in Maiduguri met a man who has never used any form of transportation apart from his legs. The report.
This is Umar Goni. He has never entered a car in his life.
Born and brought up in this house where his grandparents and relatives live for many years in Bulunkutu in Maiduguri metropolis, Malam Goni treks to go to anywhere he wants to go daily. Malam Goni said as far back as 50 years, the only means of transportation he enjoyed and trusts is walking. Sometimes he covers 20 kilometers, other times even more. I don't like boarding keke or taxi. I prefer to walk. I've been doing it for long. People say I use charm. I don't. That's how God created me. And I don't experience body pains. Some people who always see him passing by, trekking from one place to another from early mornings to late evenings, always wonder why engage in such tiring acts. This is really amazing because it's during our forefathers' time that they walk such distance. But like his own, honestly, there must be something behind it. We know him for like 15 years now. He treks to the market and to the Sheh's palace daily. He goes to the Sheh's palace to pay homage even if the Shehu is not around. He doesn't smoke or use drugs because if he do, we will know. We only see him with a radio and he doesn't have a phone. Ever since I've known him, I've never seen him taking a rest before continuing his walk. And I've not seen him with a friend walking together. I can't trek like that, honestly, with this economic situation. All of us are surprised with him. He's been trekking since the time of Maina Mahaji. He also doesn't have a phone. He doesn't like it. When they got one, he sold it to pay off debts. He does so because he doesn't have the means. That's why he treks always. If not, if he has a car or tricycle, he won't be trekking. Despite people wondering why Malam Goni does not use other means of transportation available, he is always admired and fondly known around the city because of his hands akimbo walk and usual waving to greet his admirers. His daily walks start from early mornings and end late evenings. What a man, what a long, arduous journey.
Tea drinking culture is growing in Abuja, with many tea spots springing up in the nation's capital. People from different walks of life take tea for different reasons. Trust TV's Kabir Lawal reports.
No matter what the reason is, tea can be served iced or hot, but its benefits go far beyond refreshment. There is plenty of research findings showing that drinking tea can improve one's health. In the Federal Capital Territory, however, tea sellers further explain that aside the health benefit, it has now become a tradition for consumers to take tea.
Seldom, not always. I take tea seldom. Early in the morning, or when I get to office, I take tea. Seldomly, once in a while before work. That is if I'm feeling hungry, early hours of the morning, and I needed to take something that will not be too weighty in my system. Then I take tea.
If I take the tea, I used to take Bonfita. When I take Bonfita, it makes me look healthy. And it's very good for my body because it's working for body. That is why even though it costs, you have to.
Awal Ibrahim, who sells tea, added that tea comes in different varieties and flavor, and even differs in prices. Tea comes in different prices and varieties. We have garlic tea. We have flavor and ginger, and lots of them. It serves as remedy to most tea consumers. While some take it before the meal, so many prefer taking it after every meal.
Yana magani sanyi kuma yana da amfani ga jikin mutum sosai dai. Insha Allah.
Tea taking is very common here in the Federal Capital Territory. Most people come here to buy it in the morning hours for breakfast and take it at work. Some go for garlic, while some go for other variety according to their own decision. Consumers said they derive pleasure in taking tea for breakfast or at dinner, given the body system benefits. I take tea regularly. I like taking it without putting sugar or milk. It works more for me than mixing it with any content, be it sugar or other tea.
I take tea because it helps a lot in the body. Like this morning I drank tea. Tea give me energy. The energy make me to be strong, to do work very well.
While traditional teas have less than 50% of what typically is found in coffee, herbal blends have no caffeine, meaning one can consume it without effect on its nervous system. Kabir Lawal, Trust TV News, Abuja.
On the international scene, the African Court on Human and People's Rights will begin its 67th ordinary session in Arusha, Tanzania. The session will also see the swearing-in of its new Deputy Registrar, Grace Wakio Kakai, a Kenyan national who takes over from Nuhu Diallo. Before her appointment, Ms. Kakai headed the court's legal division. Likewise, during the session, the judges, among others, will examine a number of applications during the 4-week session that will close on December 2nd this year. The African Court was established to complement and reinforce the functions of the African Commission on Human and People's Rights, which is a quasi-judicial body charged with monitoring the implementation of the Charter. And finally, in sports, Nigerian side Bayelsa Queens reached their first ever semi-final in the CAF Women's Champions League following a 3-0 victory over Wadi Degla. The Prosperity Girls won their second match of the tournament and needed victory on Sunday to seal passage to the last 4. They reached the semi-final of the competition, having amassed 6 points in 3 games in Group B. The feat makes them the first Nigerian club to reach the semi-final of the tournament. Coach Domo Okara's side will now play the winners of Group A. And with this, we've come to the end of Trust News Update. Don't forget to follow us across all our social media platforms. I'm Dashan Husseina Usman. Thanks for watching.